Yesterday we reviewed quadratic formula and how you use that to solve for quadratics. Today we're going to spend time looking at converting from factored and vertex form to standard form. So review. This quadratic is in factored form. What does it tell us about the quadratic? So if you notice, we have first of all the a value, this 2 right here. It tells us that it is a smiley face graph because it's positive, and since the 2 is bigger than 1, it's going to be skinnier than the original, so we can see that in our graph. And then we can take a look at the factors, and we can think, all right, what makes x minus 4 equal 0? And that's 4. What makes x plus 1 equal 0? And that's negative 1. And so if you look at our graph, those are the x-intercepts, or the zeros or the roots of the graph. So we can see negative 1 is where it crosses the x-axis, and also 4. So factored form gives us the direction and how wide or how skinny the graph is. And it also tells us where the x-intercepts are. We take a look at the factors and we think what makes it equal 0. So a few things that factored form tells us. So the bulk of the lesson today is to review how do we change it from factored form and multiply it out so that it's standard form. So if you take a look, here, let me draw my arrows here. All right, so converting it from factored to standard form, we're going to multiply this out. And since we have 3 things here, the first step is to choose any 2 to multiply together first. So I might just take this negative 2 and distribute it and get negative 2x minus 8. And then we take that product and we're going to multiply it by the remaining factor. And to do that, we can use a box to find the area of this. So if I make my box right here, I can write one of these factors on the top and one on the side. So we have negative 2x minus 8. We have our x minus 3. And we can multiply those together. So the first box is negative 2x times x. That would give us negative 2. I'm trying to draw this at the same time. All right, so again, it's negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Then we have negative 8 times x, which is negative 8x. Then we have negative 2x times negative 3, that's a positive 6x. And we have a negative 8 times a negative 3, which is a positive 24. Our final answer, then, we're going to combine like terms here. We have our negative 2x squared. And then 6x minus 8x, that's minus 2x. And then plus 24. This is standard form when it's all multiplied out. So when you convert from factor to standard form, you multiply any 2 together first and then take that answer and multiply it by the third thing. Sometimes it's just like multiplying 2 things together, and if it's just 2 things, you would just put them right on the outside of the box and then get the inside. Okay, let's take a look at our next one. Change from factor to standard form. There is an invisible negative 1 here on the outside, so first up we'll distribute, and we'll get negative x plus 3. And we're going to multiply that by this x plus 7. And again, we can make our rectangle here to multiply this out. I'll put my x plus 7 on the top. It doesn't matter where you put it. Negative x plus 3 I'll put on the side. You can switch those up if you want. All right, let's find the area of each part. So the first one is x times negative x, which is negative x squared. 7 times negative x is negative 7x. X times 3 is 3x, and 7 times 3 is 21. So our final answer is negative x squared minus 4x, because we're combining the 3x and the minus 7x, and the 21. And there's our answer. I should put my y equals here for both of these as well. Okay, so that is changing from factor to standard form. You just multiply any 2 together first, and then take that answer and multiply it by the third thing, combine like terms. So our last form that we're going to talk about today is vertex form. And again, the a value right here, the 3, will tell us that it's a smiley face graph and that it's steeper than the original. Inside the parentheses, the minus 1 means that our graph is going to shift to the right one. Remember, if it's inside the parentheses, it's opposite of what you think. That's the right one. And then the outside is up or down, and the minus 8 will be down 8. So if we look at the quadratic here, we can see how it's steeper. It's a smiley face graph. The minus 1 is to the right one, and then down 8, and then you get that vertex of the graph. So here our vertex would be 1, negative 8. The vertex will be the opposite of what you see in the parentheses, and then the number on the outside is the same. And the vertex is where it changes direction. So if we take a look at rewriting that into standard form, again, this is vertex form because you can read it and tell what the vertex is, but the steps for rewriting it into standard form It's just order of operations. So the first step is we will take our x minus 1 and square it. And that means x minus 1 times x minus 1. Like the previous problems, I'm going to put this in our box right here and multiply out x minus 1, x minus 1. So when we do that, we will get x squared minus x, and then a 1. We'll combine like terms and we'll get x squared minus 2x plus 1. So there's our first step, multiplying out x minus 1 squared. Our next step is we have this 3 on the outside, so we're going to multiply everything on the inside of the parentheses by 3. So we'll get 3x squared minus 6x plus 3. And then our last step is we have this minus 8 hanging out the end, so we'll kind of tack it on here and combine like terms. And the final answer will be y equals 3x squared minus 6x, and then 3 minus 8 is negative 5. So again, we're multiplying it out. We use order of operations. So do the parentheses first, and then multiply, and then add or subtract. So let's do one more, and then your assignment, you're going to have 3 of each of these to try, and it's on Delta Math, so you can check your answers, and then some more review problems. So first step, we have our x minus 3, and we'll square it. That means x minus 3 times x minus 3, which we can put in our box. Actually, on the outside of the box, I should say. Now we get the inside. So that'll be x squared minus 3x plus 9. And then we'll combine like terms and rewrite it, x squared minus 6x plus 9. So that's step 1. Step 2, we have this negative 3 on the outside. So we're going to distribute it to our answer. And we'll get negative 3x squared plus 18x minus 27. Our very last step is we have our minus 7 at the end. So I'll just stick that right here. Minus 7, combine like terms, and our final answer is y equals negative 3x squared plus 18x minus, and negative 27 minus 7 is negative 34. Okay, so your assignment is, they'll start you with this form, so vertex to standard form, so just like we did the last 2 problems. You'll have 3 of those to try, and then we'll go back to changing it from factor to standard form, and then there's some review of the graphs. So finish that, and we'll go over any questions that you have the next time we have class.